So, hi everyone. Hello. Thanks for coming. And I just arrived this morning. I'm a little bit tired because I wake up at 4 o'clock to catch the plane, and I had a little bit of food poisoning earlier today as well. So, just if I screw up, forgive me. And but I hope I can share some information about ManageIQ with you, and I hope you find it interesting, and we can have discussions after the presentations as well. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. How do you say thank you in Polish? Dziękuję. Dziękuję. Thank you. So, like I said, my name is Carol, and I work for Red Hat. And ManageIQ is the open source version of Red Hat's product called CloudForms. How many of you are familiar with CloudForms, or at least heard of it? Oh, okay. All right. So CloudForms or ManageIQ, it's a cloud management platform, and so ManageIQ, Red Hat is like known for doing most of the things upstream and in the open source community. So the ManageIQ project is the open source upstream version, and the CloudForms is what people or customers would subscribe to from Red Hat if they want the product and they want support and certification, more testing, and longer term support. All right, so that's the introduction to roughly what ManageIQ is about. We'll, of course, go into more details. So this gives a little bit more information about what it can do. It discovers, optimizes, and controls your hybrid IT. And we're talking not just cloud, because even though we say cloud management, it actually does including like containers and network, and hopefully I can show you some demos later on. Yeah, containers, virtual machines, network, storage from a single platform. So first, a little something about myself. Hopefully something interesting you can relate to perhaps. My background was from Nokia. I joined Nokia Dallas quite a while ago. I was actually a software developer. I was working on Symbian phones, if anybody used Symbian phones earlier on, and you played a video. Yeah, a long time ago. And if you play the video on the phone, you were running a little bit of my code there. I was in the multimedia department. And talking about Barcamps, I was just speaking to Kasia earlier on that about Barcamps. We actually also have Barcamps in Finland, and I actually helped to organize some of them. I'm living in a city called Tampere, which is 2 hours north of Helsinki. And why I'm in Finland is because of Nokia, so just in case you're wondering. And then a few years ago, I left Nokia and joined Yolla. Again, has anybody heard of the company? Okay, good. It's oh wow! It's really cool to see one in person, because even me myself, I'm not using a Yolla phone right now. Oh, I do have one in my bag, but it's not my current device. But anyway, Yolla was kind of born from the MeeGo, which is also an open source project from Nokia and Intel efforts. And so Sailfish OS is a kind of open source based project, mobile operating system. So anyway, through Yolla, I got to come to Poland for the first time 4 years ago for an event called Smart DevCon. And it's in Katowice, but I did, fly to Warsaw, and it's a great place, and I enjoyed my trip very much. So this was actually an interview I did with Dobre Programming, good programming, yeah. And I think I sound very fluent in Polish. Somebody, the interviewer translated it my Polish friend said that, I sound really good. I think the interview itself, I wasn't probably very fluent, but he made me sound good, so that was really nice. And then last year I joined Red Hat and learned about ManageIQ project, and which brought me here today to this Barcamp. So that's how it went. I lost my notes. So now enough about myself. This is more of a history about ManageIQ. So initially, ManageIQ it was actually already around for more than 10 years. It started in 2006. And actually, Red Hat acquired them in 2012. So, and then because Red Hat being, an open source company, took care of the code, cleaned it up a bit, made sure the licenses are in place, and open sourced it in 2014. So the Red Hat product, CloudForms, like I said, is based on ManageIQ. And so, it's won some awards, and we had the first design summit in 2014, and I organized the second one last year, and we're in the process of organizing one this year. So it's probably going to be in the US because that's where a lot of the engineers are from. But we're trying to also organize more events in the European countries. For example, like coming to this Barcamp to share more information about ManageIQ. So these are just some stats numbers in case you're interested. It's been open source for only like 2.5 years, but there's a lot of contributors and contributions from not just the Red Hat engineers, of course, but also different companies and partners that we have. These are examples of some of them. And in case you're interested, what the system is based on, it's using the Ruby on Rails framework and AngularJS and Patternfly Bootstrap for most of the UI stuff. And of course, we can see some of the related upstream projects and side projects. But I think we're more interested in the usage of the ManageIQ rather than development for now. So here's a high-level architecture of the of ManageIQ. In a nutshell, it is a manager of managers. So what it does is it doesn't actually replace these element managers that most people are probably familiar with, like VMware, vCenter, Kubernetes for managing container clusters and so on. So what it has is these API connections to the element managers, and through them you can get the information and where you can have all of the information in ManageIQ. So you have like a single interface, single pane of glass, where you can see what's happening to your virtualized environments and clouds and even networks and storage. Okay. So again, another more detailed look at the kind of things that ManageIQ can manage and discover and control. Oops. So like we have middleware and like I said, containers with OpenShift and Kubernetes. And from virtualized environments to public clouds and private clouds, and even software-defined networking and storage. Now we come to some of the features of ManageIQ. One of the kind of more useful, interesting thing that people can make use of like immediately is self-service. So what it does is through a service catalog, users can submit requests for getting some resources, instances provisioned. And ManageIQ has this workflow orchestration engine where the main thing that you will automate the provisioning of these requests. So fulfilling requests is nothing new, but the automation part is the key part, because when you manual requests may take days, or depending on the system, weeks, but through the automation, it can be tens of minutes, under an hour. Oops. And also, but automation by itself is not sufficient. What happens when the resources are done with, like you might have heard of VM sprawl and some other problems that come with not properly treating the resources when they are done, when their usage is up. So ManageIQ also provides life cycle management, so it takes care of the retirement of these resources, so you make sure that they are properly taken care of. So this is an example of the self-service, and you can see that you can request for this is RHEL, RHEL on AWS or VMware, and the self-service catalog also provides what we call a shopping cart functionality, which means that you can select more than one item at a time and just request all of them instead of waiting for one to be provisioned before you go on to the next one. So when we talked about the automation part, so there are actually two ways to automation will automate the provisioning of these virtual instances that has been requested, and they'll configure them as specified in the service catalog. And there are two ways to for the automation. One is native, as I said. ManageIQ is based on the Rails platform, so you can, if you know how to write Ruby code, you can write scripts in Ruby to do the automation, which is really powerful. It can do a lot of things. However, not everybody is a programmer or wants to, dive into code and make that happen. So with the recent integration with Ansible, you can now do that through playbooks, which is, make things a lot easier. And I'll talk a bit more about. Actually, I think the next talk will be more about Ansible. So. All right, so some other highlights of ManageIQ. The continuous discovery, what it does is you continuously listen for updates. Oh, it automatically discovers the instances, the VMs, and the relationships between them. And then it also continuously listens to updates, which will be reflected near real time. And it also monitors the any changes that happens, and what it does is not just kind of surface or superficial. It can do like an in-depth analysis. So besides just knowing like the name of the VM or what hypervisor it runs on, you can actually find out what files are in them, what users and apps are being utilized in those systems, in those instances. So what we call that smart state analysis, which I actually go deep inside and get more information from the instances. So as I mentioned earlier about the lifecycle management, this provides visibility and control over these virtual instances through their entire life cycle. So you can see the history of them and when they were created, how they are deployed, when they have been changed. So you can clone these instances. There's some like power functions. You can suspend it and then shut it down. Let's see if we can get some hands-on examples of this later on. And through collecting the information, the history about the whole life cycle, you can also really get enough information to find when you have performance issues or some problems, you can analyze and find the root cause of the problem. And because it has the history, so you can, when something changes, you can know exactly at what point. So what changed and what caused the problems to happen. All right. Related to having the control and information through the life cycle, you can also track resource utilization, and this actually with this historical info, you can generate trends about how performance has been happening, and then use that to predict future usage as well, and then even perhaps suggest, like this, maybe this new instance you can be resized because this will be more efficient, or downsize if you don't want to, you don't need that much resources on it, and so on. Yeah, so you can also enforce policies on the different virtual instances, and you can do it in two ways. One is you can apply the same policy over all your instances. For example, all your environments will have the same root user permissions. Or you can say, for production environments, I want to be more, the firewall to be more secured. But for development environments, you could be more permissive because you want to test something out and have more different connections to it. So there's two ways of enforcing policy with ManageIQ. And of course, when people use resources, you're interested in like how much is being used, and who is using more than others, and so we also provide chargeback information and setting quotas, and these rates can apply to compute, memory, storage, or network resources, and then you can perform chargeback or showback, which is reporting the data. So lots of features, and we're just kind of scratching the surface here. So what kind of environments does this work in? So you can use it in traditional virtualization platforms like VMware, like OVIRT. OVIRT is the open source version of Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization. Microsoft Hyper-V, for example. Or you can use them on cloud platforms, public clouds like Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Amazon. Yeah, it was slipping my mind. And all private clouds like OpenStack. And with recent interest and also usage with containers, you can do container management with ManageIQ through OpenShift, and you can have like advanced container scanning and check for vulnerabilities with I don't know how to pronounce that, OpenSCAP. Yeah, and to make sure that everything is secured. So I was trying to get, okay, good. Let's see if we can get this running. because I had to VPN into my internal network to access these. I don't have it installed on my laptop. So exactly, yeah. So like I logged in as the admin, and once you log in, first thing you see is the dashboard, and already you can see that at a glance you can have some good high level information about what you have running and CPU consumers and vendors and so on. Let me show you, for example, talking about clouds. It might be a bit slow because through a VPN connection, I think the server is in the US. So, oh, okay, not too bad. So like here we have a couple of cloud providers, Amazon and OpenStack. Let's drill down to one of them, see what it provides. So you can see already like these symbols, for example, green tick and an exclamation mark, they provide immediate visual information about, okay, maybe there's something wrong with this one, the other one's running normally. So, okay, now we see the Amazon one. You can, it's quite small font, but you can see like the relationships it has, like which flavors, all the instances, and pretty much all the items are selectable, and you can go into each one and get more information. Let's see if this one works. Oh yeah. Okay, so we have all the instances, but all of them are not running at this point. But let's go back and see if we can find out more about the OpenStack provider. Is it loading? Okay, it's loading. All right. No. Oh. Let's go to providers.
If the first icon says it's okay and all of the machines are down, so what does this explanation mark mean?
Let's. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to get to it. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Let's see what's wrong. Yeah, if the green mark says everything's working but nothing's running, so what does OpenStack has for us? Okay. So well, there's some credentials errors. So it's so you can see socket error. Okay, so it's not connected. So. Oh, 3 months ago it was connected. I guess we haven't updated this. Right. Okay. So you see this topology. This is also quite interesting. Let's see if this one shows anything cool. Because what it does is, yeah, it shows like all the cloud tenants, and you can hover over each one, and it shows you what it is, what's the name and the status. And this is a VM. This is actually on, and so you can you can even drag it around, so you can isolate things that you want to focus on, or you can double click on one, and it should bring me to the detail screen for that particular VM. Yep. So this instance, and it shows this one's on, and who's been on for a while, and the operating system, and it was discovered in November. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to show is that through with different screens, you can always either drill down very easily to one of the elements, or come up to, because it shows all the different relationships, which server, which host, which instance. So by just clicking on on the one you're interested in, you go to the screen for that, and you get all the information for that element or resource. All right, and then let's see if there's anything under network providers. But basically, you can see what I mentioned about networking and storage there, yeah, and containers, and these are all supported. So yeah, network managers, we have Amazon and OpenStack. Does it have much information? But yeah, later on, feel free to try it out for yourself when so you can have a sense of the kind of information and the kind of management you can do with this ManageIQ. All right, let's go back to the presentation. So more about the project itself, kind of maybe some interesting information, I hope. We have 5 releases so far, and they are alphabetically named. And does anybody know or recognize these names? Yes, they are chess masters. So, because one of the founders is an avid chess player, and he's he named the releases after chess masters, and I'll show you some more information later on. And actually, we are just releasing. I was just checking out the beta release of the current release. The F release is called Fine. Because it's an American chess master called Ruben Fine, so we are having a very fine release coming up. It's a play on words, and we're also having because we get the community to vote on the names of the coming releases, so we are preparing a voting for the G release. So if you're interested, check our website later on, and I think we'll be announcing the candidates sometime this week, so you can vote. So some of the activities we did, like I mentioned, I organized this event last year, and actually that first picture shows Oleg, which is our chess master, our grandmaster or whatever. He was actually playing simultaneously against 9 people. They call it a chess simul or something, and he actually won them, beat them all. So, it's like. I probably won't even last one round, but so yeah, it's really great event. Because like I said, ManageIQ is a very powerful tool. It has different provider support, different management features. So we have a lot of people who are either we work closely with, for example, the OpenStack team, the OpenShift team. And to make sure that things integrate well and get supported. So I like during conferences what we call the hallway track, where people actually all gather together and talk, and sometimes you learn more things or you get more discussion through that. Then I mean, of course, the presentations are interesting, but hallway and coffee time tracks are sometimes more productive. So some of the events we have coming up. I'm actually more of a event organizer, planner type person. My title is Community Development Manager. So I kind of coordinate all these happenings. That's why I couldn't really dive deep into the technical details. Please check our website for that. But yeah, tonight I'm heading towards Brno. So tomorrow we have an open house, and then we have meetups and conferences in various places. And I hope we have interest in Warsaw and Poland, and I get to come back and get more activities in this area. Just a slide to show that it's cool to talk about tools and which helps in IT work or whatever, and people coding and programming, but we also do a lot of more like fun stuff. We recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, had this designing the mascot for ManageIQ. Oh, I forgot to mention that the smart state analysis, there's a nickname for that, is fleecing. I don't know if you know the meaning of fleece, which is to remove the wool of a sheep without hurting. It's basically like removing wool, which in English you say remove wool over somebody's eyes means exposing more information, make them see clearly. So the smart state analysis is to go more in depth to find out more information. So the nickname is fleecing. So initially somebody had the idea of a sheep, and I don't know how it turned out to be bunny goat, because the left design had the horns that looks more like a bunny ears rather than horns, so antlers, what do you call that? So but anyway, so people come up with different designs, and we are probably going to use this for our new design. It's got a little smirk on his face, like he knows something. Others don't, or something. But yeah, so there are many different ways to participate in open source projects. Not everybody has to code. I don't code nowadays. That was like in my Nokia life. And there's events, there is design, there is translations, there is testing through using the software, and many other ways. So I hope I gave you a kind of good overview about the project, about its some of its features, and also about the community, what kind of things we plan and we kind of get active in. So we have, of course, a GitHub repo and, or actually a collection of repos. I think right now it's 108 or something sub-repos under it. And our communication or chat tool of choice is Gitter, which is actually linked to your GitHub account if you have one. So you can just log in with your GitHub ID. We don't use IRC nowadays too much anymore. Some projects do, but we are mostly on Gitter. And Talk is more like a forum where you can ask questions and have discussions with the community. And of course, we have some different social channels. I guess basically the only thing you need to remember is if you want more information is manageiq.org. You can link to all these other channels through the web page. And if you have a problem even remembering that, it's okay. I have a very bad memory myself. I have some kind of goodies and swag with the ManageIQ logo. So if you're interested, please take some. Even if you're not interested, please take some and then learn more about it. Maybe you get more interested. And for myself, you can probably find me with the Cybet nickname, because Carol Chen is actually quite a common name. So if you search for Carol Chen, you get a lot of different hits, but Cybet, 90% I think should be related to my online presence. So feel free to connect. And again, it's been a pleasure. And any questions, comments? Yes. I think they want to use the mic so it gets recorded.
How many instances, how many machines can be placed? How many instances can be put under this ManageIQ platform hood?
Thousands, tens of thousands. It's a very powerful tool.
Is this theoretical project or actual project?
Actual. It's in production.
How many companies use this product all around the world?
I don't have numbers offhand, but we do have.
Can you mention some?
If you just Google for CloudForms customers, you will get
Okay.
Yeah. I just came from a conference in Singapore. I know the Yale, NUS, the National University of Singapore, they use CloudForms. Many banks and some telecoms, I think, or at least they're using that
Okay,
for
so
yeah.
is it used? Yes,
It is.
It's running
used.
project.
Right.
Yes?
It is. It is in
Okay.
production.
Can you tell me how many people from the previous picture are actual developers of this platform?
Actual developers from this picture.
Yes.
Most of them, yeah. Most
Most
of them,
yes?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe there are some who are like product management, and you know, I do hand waving a lot, so not 100% are developers, but I would say 80-90%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have another question. My colleague have this question. How much of functionality are compatible with native platforms? Like, let's say that Amazon provides new functionality in their native platform.
Right.
And let's say how many days we can wait for this functionality are provisioned in ManageIQ?
It depends on a few factors. One is if there's customer requirement, we'll of course put resources and make it happen. If it's more of like a a voluntary, somebody might have some time to work on it, then we do require people to
Okay.
make the integration happen.
I
It doesn't happen
understand.
magically.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the questions.
Hello, I have another question.
Yep.
Does ManageIQ does things like
Sorry, where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, hi.
I'm
Oh,
next.
hi. Okay.
I'm next to my friend.
Okay. Sorry. The light was quite strong. Yeah.
Okay, does ManageIQ manage things like virtual machine migration, or it is done by hypervisor or things like vSphere?
Migration can be done through automation, but I'm not sure about the details. It can be done, yes.
Okay, so ManageIQ knows about migration and...
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's pretty much all knowing. It may not be all doing, but you can discover and get the information through the APIs. So. Yeah.
Do you know anyone instance in Poland that does use this ManageIQ platform?
That I'm not aware of.
Okay.
Well, first of all, our sales team here is quite small. That might explain something. No, I'm not very familiar with. I know most of our customers are in the US. There's a lot, and EMEA there are some, and we're talking about the CloudForms product. ManageIQ is actually open source. You can download it today and try it out for yourself. You don't have to pay anything. So it's the CloudForms product that you have to subscribe through Red. So we are talking about CloudForms customers, and we do have customers around the world, and many of them are public. If you just Google, you can probably find a lot of them. Or search Bing, DuckDuckGo, whichever is your search engine of choice. Yeah. All right. If there's no other questions, like I said, feel free to bring a souvenir home, and thanks again for your time.